This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
Looking for your best sleep ever? Sleep Number smart beds are literally made for you. They adapt to your changing needs. So whether you're dealing with sore muscles or running hot at night, your bed automatically adjusts for optimal comfort. Want softer, firmer, cooler, warmer? With personalized firmness settings and temperature control that cools up to 20 times faster than leading competitors, you'll get the perfect sleep environment every night. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? So you can choose your ideal comfort on either side. And now it's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event, up to 50% off, limited time, exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. See store or sleepnumber.com for details.
This is Reusse. You've been hearing my friend Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, for years on the Radio and Garage Logic podcast. I strongly recommend you sit down with Josh for your no-cost, no-obligation, 48-minute consultation on your investments, including your IRA and 401k. You can benefit from Josh's years of experience navigating different market and economic conditions, and he'll always give you straight talk and not sugar-coated advice. Give Josh a call now at 952-925-5608 to book your no-cost, no-obligation 48-minute consultation. That's 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did, and tell him Reusse sent you. Don't forget to ask, why is it 48 minutes, Josh?
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Patrick Reusse is a paid endorser. The Star Tribune today,
yes, sir,
announced their new sports editor. Chris Carr was, to be honest here, let go for very shocking to all of us who worked for him. We thought he was great, and their early 40s guy, kind of hip, and they decided they wanted. To go, I think we want to be more interactive and the internet and everything. But they've hired a young fella from Utah. I think it's, I'm not sure what, Kazuka, I think is his name. He's 30 years old.
Okay.
And I don't think he's ever actually worked for a newspaper.
Oh, interesting.
So, he might have worked in, some fan sites, and then he was... Then he was covering the Utah Jazz for the house organ.
Okay.
Know. And they discovered him and liked his ideas. They knew they're changing several administrations because we want to. Digital is the future.
Oh,
right?
yes.
That's the only future. But as a 78-year-old veteran of 58 years in sports writing and 61. As if you throw my copy boys in there,
which I do.
Boys,
I do throw those in.
August of '63.
Wow.
When I was officially hired by Sid, but actually by the prep guy Ted Peterson. This is kind of the biggest shock of my life, and as far as a new sports editor, and I've worked for 15 of them at least. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I'm just going to keep sending my 3 columns a week and see what happens. But
or as Rookie likes to say, as long as no one knows I'm here, it's tough for me to get fired.
Yes, and I'm, I don't bring. Now, during the pandemic, when parking was wonderful downtown, I used to go down to the office a lot. I'd be in there pretty much by myself, a couple other people maybe. I missed the pandemic for parking purposes
and traffic. It was
traffic
fantastic.
was great. It was beautiful, but this is so I don't get down there anymore, and now very much, maybe twice a month. So I've pretty much decided I'm just gonna keep sending my stuff in 3 days a week and see what happens. Yeah, pretty soon.
Because I saw that
pretty soon they'll say, "Who is this guy?"
Was that announced Saturday or Friday?
It wasn't announced, but
I just saw your tweets.
I
guess
Twitter
okay.
that Carr had been let go on Friday morning. He informed us all. It probably happened sometime.
Because how long was he with the paper?
Oh God! Counting his non-sports editor days, he's got to be pushing 17, 18 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Great copy editor, really good and easy. I'm not saying an easy guy to work with because he didn't have any standard, but easy guy that if you sent your copy to him, he's a great copy reader, and he also would shuffle it off. Me, everybody else is on the system. Me, I just send in emails because I'm not on the system because I'm not an employee. But he was, good guy, seemed to be doing all the stuff they wanted him to do. We just put out 5 pages on the gymnastics coming to town. That was he oversaw that. But anyway, it's a brave new world they're headed into, and let's face it, it's as I said, I enjoy what I'm doing still, and I'll just keep doing it, and then someday I expect to get the letter in the mail, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I got a contract through next December 27th, next December, but I wouldn't say that it's ironclad, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think it's, I think we intend to let you work until the end of December of 2025 unless we decide not to.
Well, and see, that's the difference between you and the guy that normally sits across the table from you because during the pandemic, he didn't even have a building to go to.
He didn't have a building, and he doesn't have a contract.
No.
He just doesn't.
Remember how hung up he was when you mentioned that? You got a contract.
I got a contract. But, again, if I have a copy of it, and I'm not sure I do, I would have to go read it to see. But I'm sure there's something in there that says, and we can get rid of you with 1 week,
whenever we want.
1 week notice.
So
maximum.
You mentioned more interactive. Are they trying to, the Star Tribune being now, are they trying to go after what the Athletic? Is that the kind of the route that they're looking for?
I
what are you
don't think
thinking?
so. It's just more digital. It's the future is digital with newspapers.
Sure.
Even though the Sunday paper still makes them more money than anything else, but I think they want to. I don't know. I don't know what they're.
Because I was going to say
they're not. I'm the last guy they'd consult.
Sure.
But stuff. I just hope it's not some guy that comes in and says, "I've been reading your stuff and I want you to get to the point sooner." That's my fear.
Right.
Because now, last time that was done was when the sports editor in the late '90s, Glenn Crevier, who I loved. Still in town. No, he's moved to Seattle now. He's moved to Seattle, but he's very upset about Chris getting axed. But he came to me, and I've told this story, in the late '90s and said, "I got to warn you that the boss, meaning the editor of the newsroom, I've never seen a guy so focused on having when, where, how,
Sure.
in the early on. We want." The nut graph that tells you what this is early on, right away. And I said, boy, he has an adjustment to make, doesn't he? But that would not work in today's environment. If they say, my expectation is they'll say, we don't need you anymore. But my other expectation would be somebody's going to look at my stuff and say, where are we going here? If he's one.
So you're lucky that Joe's not your. Get to the damn point.
Yeah, get to the point. Yeah. So I'm sure the news guy, that will be wondering what we're doing here.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Sunday thing because yesterday morning the boys and I, Will had a tournament, so we stopped at the New Prague Quick Trip to go get our supplies.
Yeah.
And there was 2 papers left.
Really?
And this is at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Now, I hope New Prague is getting the
So
quick,
your guys are big there, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
I hope the Quick Trip is getting the edition, the city edition that would have
I think
the
so.
later stuff, because some papers end up getting what we now call the Saturday early Sunday edition, and they just
maybe
report
that's what it was then.
We don't want that, but that's down there they should be getting a real paper. So.
I would think so. It's not that. Yeah, it's decent.
But it's it's.
So is he going to go on to? Will he surface in another town or another market as an
Chris,
editor, or is he going to?
I'm sure he'll have a job offers. He's well respected in the
Sure.
The national APSC conventions and stuff like that.
Okay.
We have the guy, our former editor, Renee Sanchez, is down in New Orleans now.
Okay.
Doing extremely well. They've kind of taken over Shreveport as well, and it's kind of a Louisiana operation. And he's, I'm sure that some of our guys of a younger generation might have offers to go work for him.
Okay.
Because they're doing well. But
Well, that's too bad.
anyway, it was a bit of a shocker. Yeah, Chris is a great guy. He's got two daughters who are athletes, and he once in a while has to take a weekend off to coach them in softball or some. I think one of them is a gymnast too. So
How about that? So you mentioned the gymnastics. Did you see what the secondary market was going for the women's day?
unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it because the next door neighbor guy, he's got a daughter, and he was asking me about this. He's like, "Do you got a connection at all to the gymnastics? Because I want to take my daughter."
So upstairs, what would upstairs cost?
I don't think you could get in. At least I checked that morning, and I don't think you could get in for less than $300.
Really.
Yeah.
And you're a long ways away if you're upstairs to see them turning their somersaults and doing that.
Because the men's, I know, didn't.
No.
You could walk in if you wanted to.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. We love the young women. Going back to Nadia Comaneci, for goodness sakes, she was Romanian, so she wasn't an official communist, but she was like the first one in Montreal Olympics, so that was '84.
Okay.
I mean, we've had them before, but that became the Olympic phenomenon, Nadia Comaneci, and then that wasn't '84. It was Montreal '76.
Because wasn't '84 Calgary?
No, not summer.
Oh.
80.
Here, I'll look it
80
up.
was L.A. So 76 was Comaneci in Montreal, right? In Montreal, 76, maybe 72. I don't know.
84 was
84 was
in
L.A.
L.A.
Yes.
Yep, LA.
I was covering gymnastics in L.A. Mary Lou Rettenat deadline. I haven't been able to find that stuff, but boy, that had to be some uninformed BS. A lot of ambience.
Sure.
A lot of ambience and not much in detail of what actually happened.
That would be a great column title. Uninformed BS.
Yes. Well, we were kind of on. They had us all around this. It wasn't a huge arena. I can't remember what it was. But I was on a stage, and then she was down there on the.
Was it not at the Forum? Where was it?
No, it wasn't at the Forum. It was out in Anaheim someplace, I think. I'd have to find the arena. I don't think it was. It wasn't the big arena in Anaheim, though. It was.
I wonder if it's on this website. Then.
But Nadia Comaneci was 76 Montreal. Is that right? Montreal, 76.
1970. Let me pull that up. 1976 Olympics. Because I know it wasn't the 84, isn't that when Knight called Jordan? Montreal was 1976.
Montreal, yes.
Because isn't that where Knight called Jordan? He's the best basketball player I've ever seen. Wasn't that the 84?
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Okay.
That's also where my friend from L.A., who I talked about last week, who shall go nameless, ended up having some chemicals on a vacation to Spain and ended up in a Spanish prison for a few days, which wouldn't be optimum, I wouldn't think.
Not at all.
And that's when Lasorda called Frank, who called King Juan Carlos, and got him out. And then my favorite quote ever, walking into a sporting event, this gentleman says, "I hate Bobby Knight so much, I want Spain to beat him." I said that the other day. I said that last week, but that comes up. But, but Mary Lou became, we remember we didn't have the Russians there. We didn't have, Romania showed up, which was kind of the only really Iron Curtain country that showed up. And then Yugoslavia showed up too, because they were not officially a Soviet. They weren't a Soviet in the Soviet sphere. They were communists, but a different branch of communism. But we only had Yugoslavia and Romania. Romania was the only one that didn't follow the Moscow boycott.
The Anaheim Convention Center. That was it. That's where it took place.
All right. Okay.
They had gymnastics and wrestling at that venue.
I was out there several times because we had local wrestlers too. We had some Twin Cities. We usually had a Greco-Roman guy.
Oh
or
yeah,
two,
for sure.
There. So anyway, that's the deal.
Okay. Because it was funny. So now that because how far away are we now? A couple weeks
Not that far. Early August.
Because is anyone going out there from the paper?
We did not. We made the decision not to send the great Rachel Blount to Paris, which was a disastrous decision. was one questionable. One that I would have preferred that they not make. Let's put it that way. I don't. Who am I to talk? I'm not even a. I just
fly under the radar.
I just get a check every once in a while. I'm not. I got no.
Would this be the first one in your
first
time?
one that we haven't covered in forever. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how far back we'd go, but and St. Paul we always covered them too.
Yeah.
Not a couple of guys, a couple of people, but one year, Sydney we had. Sydney, Salt Lake, there were 4 of us there. Sydney, there were 3 of us there. Wiener, Rachel, and Rachel, and I were all in Sydney.
Okay,
so we did a big.
Is that
deal.
one of your favorites?
No, I loved Australia. It was great, but the time difference was such a pain in the ass that you end up. They say, well, you got to write ahead. Well, we don't have access to people to write ahead, so you'd be writing stuff. I remember that when the U.S. beat Lithuania in the semis of the basketball. We were waiting for it's 7:00 in the morning. I was doing my call in here while we were waiting for the players to come out.
Okay.
It was 7 in the morning here.
Sure.
So it was the next day, the next evening in Australia. So, and then you end up writing that stuff that's like a day and a half late. So, which was I always loved covering in Europe because you got the 6-7 hour advantage, but you're writing that day's stuff.
Is that when Bob said, "What sport are we talking about again?" Was it that call in? When Bob
no, that was a Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup, darn it. Okay.
He says, after 12 minutes, he says, "Is this soccer?"
I love that story.
I love that guy.
No, Bob, it's...
Is anybody... where is he?
Bob,
in fact... Is he still driving around the country?
Kenny discovered that he was doing, I believe it's a once-a-week podcast, because I follow him on Twitter.
In various places?
Yeah, he's just driving around.
The movie Nomadland, did you go to see Nomadland?
I did not.
Frances McDormand stars. It's these people who... work part-time jobs in, like at Amazon factories that only have you for Christmas, and then they kick around, but then they all go down to someplace in Arizona and live in their campers, and they have these
Pat,
all homeless.
I have a guy, he's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He's in the military. I don't want to disclose what, but he's an IT specialist in the military. Mm-hmm. He has a giant passenger van that sleeps, and he's not married, no kids. He just travels the country.
Okay.
That's what he does.
Oh, so he can do it remotely.
He can do it. Yeah, he works a 10-hour day here, and it just...
Well, you should see the movie Nomadland. It's really
all right,
good.
I'll make a note.
It's a different world. A different world, to say the least. And that's, kind of what we're talking about here. So, anyway.
So I didn't get to see much of the ball club over the weekend. We had a lot of...
Yesterday, now, they had an inning that would have irritated the Faribault Lakers yesterday. They were ahead 3-0. Joe Ryan was kind of coasting. Then I think he walked a guy when he shouldn't have, because strike 2, ball 2 should have been strike 3.
Castillo threw for them, right? Yesterday?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And strike 2 should have ball 2 should have been strike 3, and then they ended up with a couple guys on base. Then they bunted, and we screwed up the bunt. And anyway, in that inning, that 2-run inning, which was the 4th or 5th, they got 5. They had 5. They could have had 5 outs, and they only got 1 because Buxton lost the ball in the sun.
I heard that on the radio.
And then Ryan tried to throw it home instead of take the out at first. And Vasquez dropped a throw at them. I think it was yesterday. He dropped the throw at the plate. And anyway, they screwed up all these things. But they were still ahead 3-2. Then they gave up another run to tie it. And then Larnach hit that home run.
That was a missile.
Yes.
He's coming around,
off
Patrick.
that Stanek, who's pretty good.
Yeah.
And,
Did we have much hope for him this year coming into the season? Because didn't he start?
He was in
the minors, wasn't he?
Yes, and Wallner was the guy all spring. It wasn't a competition. I've always said that if this had been old-time ball, every day we would have been giving you the Larnach-Wallner, who's going to make the club thing. Well, Wallner's been really good at St. Paul lately, but not good enough to replace
to get up here.
Replace Larnach. And they got all these other left-handers coming up. They got the kid at Double-A, Emmanuel Rodriguez, who they love but never plays because he breaks something or he gets something hurt. And
is Kirilloff improving at all down there?
No, he isn't playing. He's surgery.
Not playing.
He's having some kind of a rehab or something.
Okay.
He's not playing. But what I was going to get at is they got all these guys that are all of a sudden Kirilloff's out of the picture, basically. Because Julian is semi-buried now, too, with Brooks Lee. So they got all these left-handed hitting players. But, Larnach's we had a good story. Bobby Nightingale did a good piece on Larnach and what he did as a hitter to, change himself, but also to not just sit there and wait for fastballs, because they're throwing them nothing but breaking balls.
Well, I was just showing the kids. I said, guys, it's here to here. Mm-hmm. You don't need to take this big, elaborate, swing.
And he has changed it. I mean, they loved him as a hitter, but last year he was striking out half the time, So, but they that said, what saved them is Thielbar comes in and loads the bases. It was awful. And they let him pitch to Rodriguez, who's starting to hit now after having a bad start. And, Juan Rodriguez, he hit a ball to first base and get Santana that would have killed him if he hadn't caught it for the third out. Wow. So they got out of that inning. Otherwise, that's a rocket down in the right field corner.
Is Caleb close to the end?
I think he might be hurling for the, what do we call the Randolph?
The Raymond Rockets.
The
Randolph Rockets, aren't they?
Well, that's the high school team, isn't it, the Rockets?
Yeah, I don't know what their town ball team is.
Their town ball team has a different name, but...
he'll find a way to get on with Maysville or something.
He's lefty. He's a lefty, so...
But, and I say that, I mean, it's a great story.
He's had made a tremendous career, and the fact is... It was a great story the first time, and then he was gone for 5 years, and he came back.
Because he was going to be the pitching coach where? Where was he going to be? Augustana.
Yeah.
With my guy, Tim Huber.
Yes. And, but he's not throwing strikes. It's his trouble. He walked the first two. He comes in, he walks the first two. Comes in to face two lefties and walks them both.
Yeah,
close pitches, but, he's got to get lefties out because right-handers are hitting like 400 against him. And Rodriguez should have been hitting that. I mean, that ball was hit 115 miles an hour for an out in Santana.
Well, and that was the funny thing is the other day, Larnach was 0 for 3, but every ball he hit was 105 or whatever plus miles an hour. And it's just like, I remember Gladdy said, well, sometimes you can't buy one. Well, it's just true, right?
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, they're, Ober's been great now, about 3 straight starts. Joe Ryan's been good all year.
Are they going to go get an arm,
they got it. I mean, I don't know. If they want to try to do something, they're going to have to. But the rugged Central, man.
Oh.
The Detroit's coming to town with the Screwball on Tuesday. He's an all-star pitcher.
Yeah, he's good.
And, they're right around 500. Kansas City's good. We got Whoever would have guessed this is the best division in the American League.
The gauntlet of the AL Central.
You got the Orioles and the Yankees, but then Toronto's playing lousy, and and then the West is terrible. So I don't know. They're better than I thought.
The problem is, I didn't think Cleveland was this good, but
they score a lot of runs.
Right. Well, that kid they called up. Did you see that home run he hit?
Yes. That ball was foul, I think. Did you see the one down the line?
No, I'm talking about the one that went to dead center field because they had the video from, where's their AAA affiliate? Is it Toledo?
Yes.
Okay, wherever his buddies were all watching the game, and the clubhouse went nuts.
Yes.
When he hit the home run,
killed it to center. But yesterday's was down the left field line.
I didn't see yesterday's. I was talking about the one to center. It
disappeared behind the pole, but it was hit so hard. They looked at it, and they didn't change it.
Wait, we don't know.
Yeah,
it probably went through the damn thing.
It was a rocket, but he's. I'd never heard of him, and all of a sudden he's this beast.
Well, he's got when Puig was really playing well. That's the swing he's got. That just right-handed power.
What happened to Puig?
Oh, Puig!
I love Puig. we love.
Boy, did we get mileage out of when he got pulled over. Oh, Puig! Pulled over going 115 miles an hour.
Oh, Puig! It was. What do you have? Like 3-4 years max. And then he just hung on.
And then he just kind of
Did he get hurt or something?
I just think he probably was a guy that said, "I'm just done playing this." It's almost Cespedes was the same way.
Yeah, you get the money, and then then all of a sudden, I got enough money, and then 10 years later, you don't have enough money.
Well, and you know what's funny? So clips on social media will surface, and my older kid goes, "Dad, look at this video. This A's outfielder threw." It was Cespedes. Remember that throw he had at Anaheim Stadium? I said, "Yeah, buddy, it's from about 10 years ago." But still, it's like he threw the ball from the left field foul pole on a dot to the catcher.
So my grandson, Lukey, hit his first ever over the fence home run the other day.
Was it from that fine weaponry Grandpa bought him a couple years ago?
I don't know where the ballpark was. I don't know. Maybe it's a little short. I don't know.
Okay.
But then I saw they gave us you didn't see the whole thing, but they showed him running. And they got videos now, and they got game stories, game stories, and all this crap. And so I'm watching him, and he's running fast. He hits a home run. He's hustling, and I'm saying, no, this may never happen again.
Enjoy it.
You gotta cruise. So I sent him a video of Jeff Leonard with the flap down, and because he waited for the ball to leave. And then he put the flap down to slow him down, and then he jogged. And by the time he got, it's so long ago, I think it's Garagiola doing the game. And he says, it might take him 20 minutes to get the home plate from, something like that. He was just touching third, and he's saying, it might be 2-3 more minutes before he gets home.
That's fantastic.
You got to put the flap down, man.
As long as we're on this subject, the other thing too, because the kids want to copy the big leaguers, right? Yeah. So we were having a game yesterday. We were at the home of Joe Driscoll. We're at LeSueur's Town Ballpark yesterday.
Up on a hill, so you don't have to worry about this. The golf course has got to be hurt.
Oh, I don't even think it's open. No. But anyway, so we got one kid, and he wants to take his time, right? So he's got to lean in. He's got to stare at the catcher, get the sign, then he's got to come back up. I walked out there and I said, Kyle, you got one pitch.
Yes, just throw it.
Just throw it. And he's like, well, I know, but I got to make them think. Just throw it over the plate. Everyone knows what you're throwing. Just do it. But
now Chaska might have the record for, apparently, somebody told me 2 days ago that or Krauscher, I called Eric.
Okay.
He said it was 2 rows from the top of the grandstand.
Oh, yeah. It was
2 or 3 days ago.
Yep.
Because they finally, it was going to come over the levee, and to save downtown from getting flooded, they just opened the levee.
They had to, yeah.
So it went into the ballpark. And how long are they going to stay there? It happened. Now, they apparently, since they put the levee in 7 or 8 years ago, this is the first time it's flooded.
This is the first time, yep.
So that shows you how much. But But we had no idea how bad it is on 169. You said you couldn't
Pat,
get to LeSueur.
Will's tournament was supposed to be in Henderson.
Henderson,
And so we get an email from the tournament organizer saying, hey, we got to move the venue. And I said, well, yeah, you can't get there.
Yeah.
There's
Now,
just,
Henderson is on, so if I'm going to Henderson, it's on the right side of the road.
if you're going southbound on 169, you take 19 and you head west. Yep.
Right. So what
that's
river
flooded.
do they have a problem with?
Well, that's the Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So when
Are
you-
they on the Minnesota?
Oh, yeah, right on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the problem is they sit so low that, it usually does, like 93, that's the one you would take out of Henderson to go towards Mankato. That's been closed because they're repairing it. They've been working on that all spring anyway. But then when 19 got flooded, they had to shut that down. Well, and 93 was already closed, and 6 coming down from Carver, that's closed. So you couldn't get there.
Wow.
Which was kind of neat, though, because then the kids got to play at the LeSueur Town Ballpark.
The night cruising in Henderson has been called off for a while.
The Tuesday nights, and that's a shame because it's a fun event.
Yes,
the Tuesday night
the
car
old
cruises
cars.
down there. Oh, it's neat.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
great
haven't
little
been there- I haven't
downtown.
been there so long. I haven't been, forgot. But speaking of Henderson, Lon Berberat is in there, going into the Hall of Fame.
Good for him.
Driscoll's. Among his many achievements was putting up with Driscoll. Every time you'd go to the state tournament, Lon would be with him. I think a designated driver or something.
He had one job.
He was
Get him home.
But Driscoll, but Lon's been managing Henderson and coached the high school and done all his baseball stuff. So, and he's a walking encyclopedia of ball down in that area.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So he's going in sometime in September. I'll have to try to make
Is he
an
the only
appearance.
one?
No, I think they got 4 or 5 guys.
They did,
I don't
okay.
know who else is going in, but he's the one guy I know. So
Yeah,
anyway.
he's a great guy.
So,
But here's the one that I was going to mention this. They gave us the rules, right? So here's the deal. We're going to move the bases, 5 runs per inning limit, blah, 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 because they wanted to speed the game up, right? And so we get there, and I didn't see this until we got there because I told, well, get your cleats. And he goes, no, Dad, we have to wear tennis shoes today.
Oh, really?
Because it's a sponge, right? There's been so much rain that every field is just a sponge right now. But they're hosting the Fox 9 Town Ball game.
Okay.
I think, is it this Wednesday or a week from Wednesday? It's one of them.
In LeSueur?
In LeSueur. And so they said, yes, we don't want to make, so kids are slipping all over the place and whatnot.
Man,
but it was fun. They had a blast.
Yeah.
They had a really good time. So.
Well, we obviously, in the guts of the Twin Cities, did not get the bad stuff. It was south and north. So
Friday night, we were in Lonsdale. Little guy and I were, and we started heading back because Will had a game in Chaska, and it dumped on us.
Really?
About 8 o'clock on Friday
I think
night.
we got it raining hard for the other day. I go by the pool,
the measuring
looking
stick.
out to see if the pool is going to go over the top.
Gotcha.
I haven't told Mrs. Reusse this, and she does not know when these shows air, and she would never hear this. But, last year we had the flood, right?
Yep.
And in the pool, because I let the hose run for 20 hours, which has a tendency to cause problems.
Right.
And this ancient, it went over the liner, and then this ancient stuff behind the liner that's been in there since the mid-'70s, with macrolite or some damn thing. I don't know what it is. So anyway, we've redone the whole pool, right?
Yep.
And the liner's great, and it's working great, and everything's good. I went out to, what day was it? Monday. I hadn't seen no, not Monday. It must have been Tuesday. I hadn't seen the grandkids for a while. I was going to go out to Woodbury, see the grandkids.
Sure.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, take them to a late lunch. And I had the hose running.
Uh-oh.
And when I was in the den, I said, be sure to turn that hose off. And when I was in the kitchen grabbing my billfold and everything, I said, be sure to turn that hose off. And I got in the garage, and there was some garbage that was sitting on the floor in a bag. So I grabbed that and threw it in the garbage can and forgot to turn off the hose.
Got in the
So
car.
I get back to the house 4 hours later.
Oh, God.
And I get a call from Perry, my neighbor, the same guy who called last year and said, how come my
My backyard's a lake.
He said, do you have that hose running again? And I looked out, and it was absolutely at the top, and I ran out and turned it off. So it never got over. It never got over, but it was right at the top. Now, and so then I backwashed. So Katie wouldn't see it. I backwashed and put about 4 inches out of it, blew it out. And the backwash works so fast that you can get rid of all kinds of water in a big hurry.
Sure.
So that was never known. So yesterday, she gets up and runs out of the house and says, I forgot to turn off the hose. And I said, well, what's wrong with you? When you turn off that hose, when you turn on the hose, you got to remember to turn it off.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
Without pointing out that 2 days earlier, I damn near...
That would have hurt the game of flaws.
Yes, it would have been. You remember that new liner we got, Katie, about 10 minutes ago? Yeah.
Oh,
so
my
anyway,
God.
But you'll never know.
Nope.
Unless Perry rats me out.
Which he wouldn't.
No,
I don't think he'd do that.
I don't think. Maybe if they're over having a hot dog, maybe.
Get a little loose with the lips.
I remember. Are you talking about last year, Perry?
Are you sure you're mixing that up with last year?
Yeah, you are. Boy, that was close. It's unbelievable. So when these monsters are done playing baseball, you're going to have to come over and use the new pool.
I think we only have a couple weeks left of the baseball season. But then there's that. You can sign them up for the fall ball. And she says, I said, I need a break from
Yes.
And not even a break from my kids. I need a break from everybody else's kids.
The shock was not only my grandson hitting a home run, but they won a game.
Wow.
They stink. And this year they were good last year, and then they moved them up to Double-A. So
that's a big difference.
A big step. Yes, it is. And they went to Omaha. Haughtily, they went to Omaha for 5 days and played all those teams. That whole thing around the College World Series, 50, 60, 80 teams come in from all around the country. They play in all these fields. They stay in the hotels, and they get to go to a College World Series game. So they played one team from Texas, and my stepson told me they were men. They were like, they had all the wristbands and stuff, and they were men. They were people who played in the perfect game tournament.
He's 11? Is that?
He's, 13.
13. Okay, I'm sorry. Because there's a difference. When you've got that age, some of those kids hit puberty sooner than others, and they're big boys.
They're now all at a point where I could coach them because they can play catch.
There you go.
But when they were 9, 10, 11, I couldn't coach them because we would have never gotten beyond, as I've said.
Play catch.
Can you play catch?
Right.
Let's watch you play catch for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And if we got guys who can't play catch, we're going to keep playing catch.
Yep.
Got to play catch.
It's fundamental.
So,
it's just that easy.
Anyway, I think we're good.
We just need to hear about the Valley Group of GM dealers.
You can get over, you can get out Cedar Avenue, I do believe, out to Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers in Apple Valley. Go right out Cedar, right there on the right. Fully stocked these days. Got all the SUVs. Got Yukons. They got Sierra trucks, the heavy-duty trucks. And they have low interest rates. And as you can tell us, they also have the recommendation of the mayor for the station wagon.
Yes, he's a big fan. The new Buick station wagon has impressed the mayor something terribly, in a good way. And then we have the store in Hastings, too. But Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers. Right now, factory rebates are strong. Low interest rates, 0.9, 1.9 if you qualify. Choice of 4 different SUVs to take the kids to the hockey games in next winter. So I can't, I've been buying my vehicles from them for 12, 13 years out in Apple Valley. And we also have the store in Hastings. Jim Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers. Now is a great time to buy.